Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 134 with the N326 Duo. I am your host, Sam Godsey, and with me today, as always, is my co-host, Tanner Dislin. Tanner, how are you feeling tonight?
Well, Sam, we officially said goodbye to basketball for the 2023-2024 season. Running out of things to talk about on the podcast, no doubt about it. But obviously, the Celtics won the NBA Finals. I'm sure we'll have what?
Woo.
Yeah, we're ecstatic about it. But we'll have more on that later. But yeah, I mean, so I'm not very happy the Celtics won, but other than that, man, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, like Tanner said, sports are kind of slowing down with the MLB and kind of the small WNBA. Not a whole lot to talk about, so we will be switching to every other week on Thursdays after this episode. But Tanner, let's hop right into it on episode 134 with weekly headlines. The first one we should talk about is Charles Barkley is retiring from what from he's like, I don't have a job, so I guess I'm retiring. There are talks of him being brought back for a show, but kind of I know your thoughts are on Charles, but tell the people what kind of your thoughts on this, and you gonna miss him or not?
I mean, I'll tell you, am I going to miss him? No. I feel like we're the only two people on earth that actually understand that inside the NBA is a bunch of bumbling idiots who don't know basketball and try to act like they can talk about basketball.
Minus Ernie.
Minus Ernie, and
Case,
people
man.
and people just eat it up for some reason
Yeah,
and
I
talk
don't
about it like it's
understand
the
it.
best show of all time, even though it's borderline unwatchable. So no, I'm not really going to miss him. But I also don't believe it.
Yeah,
I think because he said what next year he's going to be with the NBA on TNT, and then they're
yeah,
losing it.
yeah.
I'm sure someone somewhere will pluck out Chuck,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be able to, or at the very least, maybe he'll be on college basketball. You know, I mean, March Madness, he would always be on the desk. So at the very least, he'll be on college basketball. I assume.
Yeah,
But border or the moral of the story here is that I don't believe it. I think he'll be
yeah.
back. I think he'll be
I totally agree. Um, I think it's gonna be interesting what happens with that show. Like you said, we're not huge fans of it. We don't understand it. Just simply not knowing where players play and how to pronounce her name when it's your full time job is absolutely pathetic. Not very funny. Um, the banter between him and Shaq is funny to a for like the first if it's like a short jab, but it's literally the entire pregame show. I think inside the NBA is popular because the other option is with who is it? Jalen Rose,
Oh yeah,
Paul
the ESPN
Pierce.
one is just
The
terrible
ESPN
too.
one is even
And it's a
worse.
rotating door too, because I don't. Paul Pierce was fired, then he was back, and then he was fired again, and then yeah, JJ Redick was on it, but now he's calling games, so he's off it. Now we have Wilbon and Stephen A.
And
And
love
I don't know.
Wilbon, but good lord,
Yeah, it's the ESPN one is brutal.
yeah, it is very bad. Speaking of JJ Redick, though, there uh are talks that he is gonna be the next LA coach. Not officially, but it's seeming that that is becoming more and more likely. So kind of crazy on that front. But moving on, I know you're excited about this, Tanner. The announcement of the Netflix's newest sports documentary series. We've seen um, the tennis one. I'm blanking on the name of that. F1 Drive to Survive, Full Swing, and quarterback. Well, they're taking it. They're taking quarterback and making it receiver. They're going to be following um, five NFL receivers, except one's a tight
5
end.
pass catchers.
Yeah,
There we go.
Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Tanner, your guy, Justin Jefferson, is getting me on this. But tell me, are you tuning into this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, quarterback was awesome. And now we just add more names, right? More constant action. And I think overall, pound for pound, better talent. I mean, like, I love Kirk Cousins. I still love Kirk Cousins, even though he's on the Falcons. But we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, all these top 5 players at their position. Obviously we had Mahomes in the quarterback, but he's kind of Mahomes and Jefferson at the top of that position.
Mm-hmm.
But the supporting cast in this wide receiver in this receiver show is awesome.
Yeah.
So you got more names, so more action, higher talent. And I mean, obviously being a Vikings fan, being able to see what you got to see behind the scenes of the quarterback show, you get to see it again with the receiver show. It's awesome. I'm so excited. I can't say enough good things about it, man. I'm just ready for it. And it's coming out, like, were they filming it last season, or is this something that they're going to film and then come out after next season?
It's set to premiere this summer, so I assume it's from last year. It's coming out July 10th, so make sure y'all tune into that. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, you have Devontae Adams, who's not he's not in the happiest place in Vegas.
Yeah. You get to see him, like, what's going through his mind as he's catching passes from
Aiden O'Connell.
And I can't remember who, because he didn't start the year with the Raiders.
Was Garoppolo?
Garoppolo, that's who it was.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew they signed somebody. But yeah, from then Garoppolo, and then because Jimmy Garoppolo, he got hurt.
Yeah.
So then in came Aiden O'Connell. And yeah, I mean, it was a revolving door. So I'm very curious to what he had to say, or what he has to say about this quarterback situation, for sure.
And then Justin Jefferson, we all know. I think George Kittle as well. Debo Samuel. I mean, these are the top guys on the top.
You got each side of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
With, or I guess no,
two 49ers, though, which is interesting.
Yeah, for some
reason. But I mean, if you're going to get a tight end for a TV show,
it's George Kittle.
It can't be Travis Kelce. It's George Kittle. The personalities are definitely going to flourish in this, I think. Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, and Debo Samuel, we all kind of know him.
Right.
I think one of the most underrated parts is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, we haven't gotten to experience his personality. Like, I'm sure Lions fans have, because they tune into everything. But as a not above average NFL fan, I haven't really seen a whole lot of his personality. Right. But with these other guys, their antics. So that is what I'm kind of looking forward to most.
And again, I think we said it specifically with the quarterback, but the selection was awesome. It specifically in the quarterback, you kind of had almost like a good, medium, bad. Yeah. With all due respect to Marcus Mariota, you had the 3 levels, right? Kirk Cousins, a good quarterback who's really trying to make a push with his team. Mahomes, top tier, and then Mariota trying to just keep a job.
Yeah,
right. And then the selection here, you have an absolute freak show in George Kittle, whose team made it to the Super Bowl. Debo Samuel, whose team made it to the Super Bowl. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was a part of a history-setting team, or record-setting team, one that will definitely live on in the history books of the Detroit Lions, because they went to the NFC Championship game. They won the NFC North. All of these things that hadn't happened in forever in Detroit. So, I mean, a record-setting year for Detroit. Two players in the Super Bowl. The best player at the position going into a contract year.
Yeah.
Jefferson, obviously, we know how that ends up. He recently signed it, but how that plays through it all. Oh, also, he lost his quarterback due to injury, so you have more of that revolving door. He's catching passes from Josh Dobbs. You get to see the Josh Dobbs.
Does it Didn't know the playbook. Yeah.
Yeah, from his point of view, and then Nick Mullins, like
Yeah.
similar to what we talked about with Devontae. So again, top tier selection from the showrunners
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I mean, they keep churning these bad boys out. Obviously, started with F1 Drive to Survive, that blew up, and then they did Full Swing, and I want to say the golf or the tennis one is Match Point. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. Um,
Don't worry, we'll have the answer in a matter of seconds.
tennis.
So I thought.
I thought it was Match Point. Break Point. My
Break
bad.
Point,
That's on me.
idiot.
I'll wear
You're
that.
not even close.
But I mean, they just keep churning these bad boys out, and they're awesome.
Dude, I can't wait till 2035 when we have left tackle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're just Full Swing's probably one of their more popular ones. And I think
that one rocked.
Yeah, it's just an awesome thing they're doing. So July 10th, Netflix receiver. Check it out. It's gonna be must watch. Moving on, speaking of wide receivers, Brandon Aiyuk, clip of him announced, and 49ers, great segue. Called Jane Daniels of the Washington Commanders and said 49ers don't want me back. Your thoughts?
Well, the wide receiver position, famously full of divas, right? The wide receiver position now in such a pass-heavy philosophy across the entire league has never been more valuable than it is now, and that is reflected in the contracts. Brandon Aiyuk is a fantastic football player. He is a fantastic compliment to Deebo Samuel. Brandon Aiyuk wants to get paid like it, and that's fair. The 49ers are paying Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Joey Bosa,
Christian McCaffrey.
Kind of. So
yeah, that's true.
So they're trying to negotiate for every penny, and a talented wide receiver is not, it feels like he deserves more. So, it's obviously cause for concern if you're a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to say that their marriage is over.
Yeah.
Because if you remember what happened to Deebo Samuel, this exact thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I want out. The 49ers gave him a big contract, and he was like, I'm back.
Yeah.
Like, all it takes is for one side to give in. And I have a feeling they will, just because the money they're saving by not paying Brock Purdy, now is the time to capitalize, and you have to strike. And again, Deebo, the Swiss Army knife of put him anywhere, super athletic, yards after catch, and then Deebo, more traditional wide receiver, fantastic route runner, great hands, all that stuff. It's a perfect match of a 1-2 punch. So I think they're going to be able to get it done, but I'd be concerned if I was a Niners fan.
Yeah, I think they want him
they
to
definitely
stay.
Want him back.
They don't have it in their payroll. And I know a lot of people are going to be looking at this saying tampering, which everybody tampers in the NFL. But Brandon Aiyuk is former teammates with Jane Daniels back in Arizona State. I feel like Brandon Aiyuk has been in the league for like 6 years. I'm like, how is he teammates with Jane Daniels?
I think Aiyuk may have caught Jane Daniels like first ever.
Oh, really?
That could be totally wrong, but for some reason, I think it might be right.
That's crazy. But you're going to say?
But yeah, you mentioned the tampering, which quick little segue here. Segue. The NFL announced some fines for tampering with the Falcons, with Kirk Cousins. And you want to know what their penalty was? They lost a 5th round draft pick, and the team
nailed it.
It was
Jane Daniels to Brandon Aiyuk to beat Justin Herbert's Oregon Ducks.
Nah, dude, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is actually nuts. But anyway, so the Falcons
pre-COVID. That was pre-COVID. That's crazy.
Oh man.
But you're saying,
Yeah, the Falcons got their penalty
yeah.
for tampering with Kirk Cousins. They lost a 5th-round draft pick.
Oh,
The team got fined $250,000.
oh, how are they going to financially?
How are they going to
I'm
financially
never going to
recover? And
financially
the
recover.
GM got fined. How much do you think he got fined?
10,000.
It was a little more than that. It's 50,000.
Oh, so
So,
$50 to
yeah.
GM.
Literally, instead of 1/10, it was maybe 1/9 of his salary. You know, it's so the penalties are not very severe for tampering.
Yeah, that's crazy. But any final thoughts on this Brandon Aiyuk situation, Tanner?
No, man. I think we said it pretty well. I just think we're just in an environment right now where nobody wants anybody back until they give them the money, and then it all's well. Like all's well that ends well.
Yep. And the final weekly headline, it was coming. Seems like this is, I say it every time we talk about reoccurring segment. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever face off against Angel Reese's
Chicago
Sky.
Oh man,
is that true? No. I'm saying, is it Angel Reese's team?
Oh, I can totally name other players.
Mia Cardoso. There you go.
The one who decked Caitlin Clark starts with a CH.
Kennedy. We know so much about what you mean. But, of course, the viral clip came out. Angel Reese flagrant foul on Caitlin Clark. Tanner, was it warranted or was she just trying to make a basketball play?
That exact play happens so many times on a basketball court. I don't think it was a flagrant. I understand
defending
wanting
Angel Reese. That's crazy.
I just don't. Yeah. I understand maybe having somewhat slightly heavier penalties for contact to the head. I'm not, I'm not 100% saying that's not a flagrant. The fact that was ridiculous. I understand being particularly cautious with hits against the head. I personally would not have called it a flagrant. What absolutely did not happen, though, is Angel Reese did not take a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark. While trying to inbound the ball, walking up to her, lowering your shoulder and knocking her to the ground, that's a cheap shot. Trying to block a shot and end up hitting her in the head when you miss the ball and kind of swipe over, that is not a cheap shot. That's basketball. And guess what? She missed the ball. She hit Caitlin Clark. That's a foul. She got called for a foul. That's just the sport. That's how the sport is played. And so it was absolutely not a cheap shot. I wouldn't have called the flagrant. I don't mind the flagrant, but breaking news, a regular play in the WNBA got blown way out of proportion.
It's crazy how that happens. I totally agree. It was not flagrant. I'm not defending Angel Reese. I hope y'all know that. But I'm defending good. Regular basketball plays. It happens.
She did. I did notice though, once Caitlin got knocked down, her teammates did help her up.
Yeah.
So maybe we're improving.
There you go.
Being a better teammate
after getting obliterated by every announcer ever.
Yeah, anyone who's ever played.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Anyone who's ever played a team sport ever, like the minute your teammate is like knocked down or there's a play that's a little bit extracurricular that knocks them down, you step in and at least puff out your chest or help them up.
Christy Wallace was the one that first popped up. She's kind of supposedly becoming the enforcer of this team. But as everyone knows, this big rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, it did become the most watched WNBA game in 23 years.
How about that?
It's been around since 96 for reference.
Shout out that game 23 years
ago. I know, right? Yeah. Wow. 2.25 million viewers. That's a 225% increase from the Liberty and Mercury, however you say that.
Mercury.
Game last year. That was kind of the biggest matchup there. But yeah, no, that did not warrant a flagrant foul. I don't think
Absolutely
anybody
not.
that knows ball will agree with us here. But yeah, this rivalry book just gets another couple pages written, and don't expect it to go away anytime soon because knowing the Fever, yeah, they play Sunday, June 23rd. So in a couple days. All right. Well, we talked about the WNBA, Tanner. You ready to talk some NBA?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. So, as y'all know, the Boston Celtics,
Sorry, I was just doing what I was doing during the entire series.
Tanner's favorite NBA team, the Boston Celtics, did end up winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy. 4-1 was the series count. Tanner, I'm gonna be honest. I maybe watched a single quarter. And I mean it was on, but I was not locked in like I was for every game in the first and second round. I thought this playoffs could have been one of the best if the like first round, second round, third round, like
It was a nosedive. It was a complete
it
and utter
was
nosedive.
terrible.
Now, I do recognize that we are fans of teams who got eliminated in the same round,
Yeah.
right? And obviously, our personal enjoyment will decrease once our teams
For
get
sure.
eliminated. But the conference finals and the finals were about as boring as it gets for playoff sports. And I think a product of being fans like we are of teams that were already eliminated, of the series being just not very close, and living and dying with every possession that the Knicks played, and then the injuries and all the roller coaster I got taken through in the first couple rounds. And the fact that that was like 2 months ago or like a month ago when all of that happened, I just was so not locked in.
Yeah.
And not to mention, this series was boring as hell. So between being bored with the last few series, between having put in so much energy to root for my team all those weeks ago, I was just had very little interest in this whatsoever. You can call us casuals. That's fine. I don't care. But you mentioned that you didn't really watch it. So in my living room, I have two TVs because I love ball. And the NBA Finals, 5 games, spent a grand total of 0 minutes and 0 seconds on the main TV, and a grand total of 0 minutes and 0 seconds with the sound on because it was on the mini TV. It had the sound off. So yeah, that's where we are with the finals. So all of that is to say, it was a snooze fest for me.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, we can dive into the performances by each player, but there's really no point. Kyrie Irving
dominated.
Looked awful. I predicted him to be the finals MVP, and boy, did he let me down. I had the Mavs in 6 with Kyrie MVP. You had Boston in 7 with Derek White winning MVP.
Hey, he gave up half that too. So
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, these games were blowouts in every which way. Boston was by far the better team. It wasn't even particularly close. And the one game we thought could be competitive, game 4, it was a blowout the other way due to the extender. But Tanner, if you Did Jaylen Brown really deserve to be called uh, the Finals MVP? He finished with 25 and 5 were his numbers.
Like, it's not very impressive numbers, but yeah, I do think he deserved MVP. I mean, it's just the team. Now, our disinterest in the finals, let's get this one thing straight, is it does not take away anything from the dominance of the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I think a if we did winners and losers, I think a great winner for this episode would have been Brad Stevens, because
Yeah.
this team was expertly put together between star power, between defense, between shooting, between depth, between size, between experience, between like young, fresh blood, like fresh legs, top to bottom. It was expertly put together. This team had everything. They had no weakness. They drafted well. All the trades and the free agent signings are smart. So Boston deserves this absolutely. They were expertly put together, and it was just an absolutely dominant team. So because of that, the performances were just so even across the board. Like, Kristaps Porzingis had game 1. Drew Holiday had game 2. Jaylen Brown had game 3. Like, just across the board, when players need to step up, they did. And because of that, I do think I probably would have given it to Jaylen Brown. And yes, the numbers look bad. It's not early look bad for an MVP or Finals MVP. And it's not because he played bad. It's just the team was so damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I think they got it right here. But like you said, it really was kind of a team effort. I mean, I think one of the most underrated aspects of this series is Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the reason Kyrie Irving looked absolutely terrible all series. I mean, we've talked about length in a couple episodes. He's just a dog.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this, but just like Milwaukee, like what are you doing? Which it does make me a little bit happy. It sucks that the beneficiaries were Boston,
Yeah.
but I don't really like Damian Lillard, and I don't like the state of Wisconsin. So like the Bucks, the player they moved on from being a key part on a championship team did make me feel a little good. It sucks it was with Boston. But yeah, I cannot believe that decision by the Bucks and what they had to give up to bring in Damian Lillard and to give away someone who just consistently plays winning basketball was crazy to me. So
yeah,
make that point when you talk about Drew Holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about how cringy Jason Tatum was last night? He wanted to be damn near everybody except Jason Tatum.
When he yelled, we
did it exactly like Kevin Garnett
he was trying to go viral so bad.
And then he quoted Angel Reese. What they gonna say now? Sure. And of course, the most viral clip was at the after party. Everybody was wondering what would happen if we didn't win. I guess we'll never know. Quoting obviously Kanye West, but he was trying way too hard to be a viral clip. I guess he got his wish because
definitely cringy stuff, and we can definitely make fun of him for it. But the fact of the matter is, he can say whatever the hell he wants. Yeah, he won.
He's a champ.
Yeah,
he is a champ.
He won.
So the NBA season has wrapped up.
Real quick, and just talking about how boring the games were. Like looking at each one, did you know that the losing team in every game scored less than 100 points? And 3 out of the 5 games were double digits.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So,
that's what we're talking about.
Just the way this playoff started, I expected it to end so much better.
Before we wrap up real quick, kind of an L for the city of Boston. I don't know if you saw this. Do you know what the Celtics are doing in between their championship clinching game and the parade?
What?
They're flying to Miami as a team to party and then flying back to Boston for the parade.
Yeah, that's not great. Oh, another thing. Did you see the clip of Grant Williams,
Yeah, bro,
Brandon Miller celebrating with him?
that is crazy. Like, okay, if it was Grant Williams, obviously former teammates with a lot of those guys, but Brandon Miller, a team in your league that you are competing against wins the championship and you're celebrating with them. Obviously, I know it's not really, probably not an attainable goal for the Hornets next year. But my God, that is crazy to me.
Very
crazy.
I was like, no way. Like I was very, very confused about that. Yeah, that was something. But moving on. Actually, last question here, Tanner. How would you rate this NBA Finals on a scale of 1 to 10?
The finals.
Let's go finals first and then playoffs as a whole.
Finals 2. I'm gonna go playoffs as a whole 5 because I was a fan of the first 2 rounds, obviously the Knicks being in it, and living through that Knicks 76ers series. Games were close. The way they finished was crazy.
Yeah.
And a couple of game 7s in the conference semifinals. I was really kind of feeling the NBA playoffs the first 2 rounds, but then it all just nosedived. Yeah. So I'm gonna go 2 for the finals, 5 for the playoffs.
Rookie numbers, but I'm gonna go like 2.3 maybe for the finals.
You said rookie numbers?
Yeah, solid round numbers.
I see.
But for the playoffs as a whole, I think I'm gonna stay in that 5 range. I think I'm gonna go rookie. 5.62.
5.62.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 5.619.
Nice. Great one. No, like you said, man, I mean, I think that Philly New York series was one of the best ones. But yeah, I think first and second round was really freaking awesome. Obviously with the Thunder playing well. Also, their series against the Mavericks was very fun to watch. But yeah, kind of disappointing NBA finals. A postseason that has not disappointed is what we talked about last week. The NCAA Men's World Series has been absolutely electric, Tanner. Like Jaron said last week, if you have never watched college baseball, tune in to this tournament. And boy, was he right. In bracket 1, North Carolina, Virginia was a close one, 3-2. Then game 2, Tennessee, Florida State, 12-11, going into extras. That was electric. Then Virginia, Florida State played in game 3 was Kentucky, NC State. Kentucky ended up inching out win 5-4. A&M, Florida, A&M 3-2. Then it's double elimination. So North Carolina and Florida State played today. 9-5 was that game. North Carolina, Tennessee 6-1. I mean, these games as of late haven't been as fun, but those first games were some of the best college baseball games you could watch.
I mean, I'm just trying to do the math here. 3, 4, 5, 6. There have been 11 games. And I'm counting 6 one-run games. That's more than half.
Yeah,
have been one-run games. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and I mean some memorable plays. Namely, was it Virginia in the outfield? Who Virginia center fielder definitely flashed the leather a little bit in the late innings.
I mean, I want to say 3 of the first 4 games ended in walk-off fashion.
Yeah, we had the walk-offs.
Insane.
Yeah, we had the walk-offs. It was nuts. We had a game go till like 2 a.m. because of the rain. Like just we got everything in Omaha, so it's been awesome. And I tell you what, the games are only going to get better as the teams continue to progress. So, yeah, this is awesome. This is just awesome.
Yeah, one complaint I do have about this tournament is why are we playing at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday? And why are we playing? I know rain delay obviously had an effect on this game, but they rescheduled Kentucky for Florida for Wednesday at 10 a.m.
Yeah, that's tough.
Kind of brutal.
That's
kind of
tough.
brutal. Obviously, I know rain delay affected that, but yeah, I think Jaron kind of nailed it on the head with how good this tournament's gonna be. His volunteers, his pick to win were
They're
the
rolling.
Tennessee Volunteers. Looked a little iffy against Florida State, but they picked it up against a UNC team that was looking as good as anyone. So again, if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. I know you're gonna be bored at work tomorrow. Tune in to that Kentucky Florida game.
Yeah, kind of a tough draw for Jaron's NC State Wolfpack.
That was tough.
Well, he had him to beat he had him over number 2 seed Kentucky. They lost by 1 on a walk off, and then in their elimination game against Florida, they lost by 1 again.
Yeah,
so
got brutal.
That's tough. Definitely gut wrenching for the Wolfpack. But hey, that's a women's Final Four, a men's Final Four, and a College World Series run. And
ain't bad.
Did they win a bowl game? Shit, they probably did at this point.
Knowing NC State this year, I would not be shocked. But yeah, NC State has been a fun story as a university for sure. Let me look here.
Checking on the bowl game.
Checking on the bowl game. Of course, it doesn't pop up immediately. Love that. For me, this is where we're sitting as the
yeah, you get to listen to us search
as the football or the dead period in sports come around. This is what they played it, dude. They played it in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Did they win?
No.
28-19
against K-State. So
okay,
well, it's a tough draw there.
They made a bowl.
They made a bowl. They made a bowl. But yeah, College World Series has been very fun. Tanner, your Mets,
dude.
Your Mets. Grimace has invaded Citi Field, and boy, the Mets are playing well.
Dude, Grimace has changed the course of my summer. I have been on this podcast talking about how depressed I am watching Juan Soto and Aaron Judge put up duo numbers that have never been seen before, be number 1 and number 2 in OPS in the league. The Yankees just winning every possible game. The Phillies winning every possible game. But now Grimace has injected the life into the Mets. And I know what you're all thinking. Grimace? Like the McDonald's Grimace? Yes, the McDonald's Grimace. So like about a week ago, Grimace threw out the first pitch at Citi Field. I don't really know why. My best guess is that my best guess is that because they released their City Connect uniforms and there was purple on them, that maybe they decided to bring in someone who was purple. I have no idea, but yeah, he came in and he threw the first pitch.
It was Grimace's birthday, bro. Come on.
It was Grimace's birthday.
Yeah.
I see. So
June 12th was when he threw it.
And of course, obviously, everyone was like, why the hell is Grimace throwing at the first pitch?
I love it.
And they were fresh off a loss to the lowly Marlins. So when they won the next game, that game that Grimace threw out the first pitch, it then became like a half-hearted meme of someone was like, wow, the Mets are now 1-0 since Grimace threw out the first pitch. And then they just kept winning, Sam.
Yeah.
Last night, on Monday night, they played the Texas Rangers, the defending champions, and they beat them 14-2 in Arlington, scored 7 runs in the first 2 innings, knocked out John Gray, who had a sub-3 ERA going into that game, knocked him out in like the 4th inning. The offense showed up, and that marked a 6-game winning streak, which started the minute Grimace threw out the first pitch. And it has just taken kind of the entire league by storm now. Like, you know how whenever the Twitter account of one of the major leagues, like every night when every game goes final, they have like a thread. And they have a graphic that shows the score, and then it shows a picture from the game. The MLB last night, when they tweeted the Mets score, the logo for the Rangers was their normal logo, and the logo for the Mets was a picture of Grimace.
I love it.
And the main picture on the graphic
was Grimace
in his Mets hat. I gotta find it for you now. I mean, it is just absolutely hilarious. And now also like McDonald's is getting in on it. They tweeted a picture of Grimace in a Mets hat and just like tweet random stuff like going for game 6 or going for 6-0 or something. And everyone is just talking about how Grimace has changed the course of the Mets season. Now, more likely, it is probably the players only meeting they held after they hit rock bottom, which we talked about on this podcast, where Jorge Lopez threw his glove in the stands and said the Mets are the worst team in baseball. And since then, I believe they are 12-4 since then, but more importantly, 6-0 in the Grimace era. So you got this
electric.
You got this one here
in the Grimace era.
Is that what
it said?
The Grimace era of Mets baseball, and then this was the final score. I guess they didn't have the picture, but yeah, that was the Mets logo.
Electric.
Picture of Grimace, and everything is purple for the Mets. And yeah, they're officially within 3 games of 500. And in the National League, there is an absolute logjam because everyone kind of sucks. So you have in the National League, you have the Phillies, Dodgers, and Brewers are clearly the 3 best teams and are going to win their divisions. You also have the Braves. The Braves, Cardinals, and Giants right now hold the wild card spot. The San Francisco Giants are 36-37. The Chicago Cubs have the 3rd worst record in the National League.
Tough.
And they are 2 games out of the wild card.
Oh, there you go.
The Rockies and Marlins are each in the cellar. They are terrible. But get ready for this. The Cardinals, Giants, Nationals, Padres, Diamondbacks, Pirates, Mets, Reds, Cubs are all 3 games in each other.
Ain't bad.
So there is an absolute logjam in the National League. Maybe it'll start to separate itself as we get past the All-Star break and keep going. But Grimace is my absolute hero. And I feel like I got to eat McDonald's every day now. I feel like I got to wear purple every day now. Grimace is my hero. That's all I can say.
There you have it. I figured you'd want to talk about your Mets because they are on a tear right now.
They're currently up 1-0.
There you go. But another big topic in the sports world this week is the U.S. Open that was held at one of the toughest courses I have ever seen, Pinehurst 2. It was one of those courses where the people that cheer for the course had a heyday, but it came down to Bryson DeChambeau and Rory McIlroy and Tanner.
It was electric TV.
It was electric. Rory, known hater of the Live Tour, that was documented in Full Swing, and their kind of face, Bryson DeChambeau, went crazy. I mean, he had one of the most impressive bunker shots I have ever seen on 18. Just absolutely crazy. And from 55 yards away, he chipped to about 4 feet and sunk a par putt to finish 6 under, 1 shot better than Rory McIlroy. Rory collapsed.
He did.
I mean,
which is unfortunate because he was playing an incredible round to get himself. Then he got himself a lead, then collapsed.
Yeah.
So
it was tough.
The back 9 was certainly the back 9, like the final 5 holes.
Yeah,
were it was collapse. Tough. But it sucks because the front 9 he was playing out of his mind to get the lead. But,
yeah. They were. It was electric. probably one of the craziest finishes we've ever seen in golf. An interesting stat about our Rory, he is currently on a 10-year drought without a major championship.
Oof.
That is tough. That is tough, but I mean, there were so many storylines surrounding this, especially with the Live PGA. It's just crazy. And one thing we were talking about this before we started recording. People need to realize, obviously, the Live as a whole is a lesser product of the PGA. From top to bottom, PGA is a better league. No doubt about that. But like, we're consistently seeing Live, like the top Live guys compete. I mean, we saw Bryson win obviously the US Open. We've seen Brooks Koepka play really well.
He won a major last year.
Yeah.
He collapsed at the Masters, but he won a major.
And he struggled a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, well.
But it's just so funny that it's just it obviously inferior product. I don't think anybody's, but
Right.
like they still have dogs in that
Right.
league.
And I think what I don't know, I mean, granted, I'm not a professional golfer. I do not golf. When I play golf, it's can I not hit the house, which lately has not been going too well for me.
Hey,
But
two clubs lost this
but
brutal.
but
Just absolutely brutal.
what I'm saying is like this sport it's golf. Like did people think that because they joined a tour with an overall worse level of talent that they're just going to be bad at golf?
Yeah.
Like this isn't a sport where there's an offense and a defense where the quality of your opponent directly affects your quality of play.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Mahomes playing against a high school defense and like I don't know who's the best defense and the best defense in the NFL. Obviously, his play is going to be different. A golfer, if he's golfing against me or if he's golfing against Bryson DeChambeau, is not going to be any different.
Yeah.
Like he's going to play his game. So like I never understood that. Where can they still win? Can they still win? Yeah, because they're really freaking good at golf. That's why they get paid $1 bajillion to play in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, so I agree. It's always been a ridiculous thing to me.
Yeah, it's just very interesting. So as of April 2024, so a little outdated, but I mean, we have Brooks Koepka. He has 5. Dustin Johnson 2. John Rahm 2. Martin Kamer has 2. It happened a little bit. I mean, Bubba Watson. Bryson now has 2. And then Phil Mickelson, obviously, a little washed now.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I mean, he has 6. So it's
27
27
to do that with like how many were on the tour, how many were on. But
27 majors for amongst 14 live golf. So it's not like
so they can play golf is what
they
you're
can
telling
play
me.
golf.
But yeah, no, that's no doubt about it.
It's just crazy. But yeah, if you missed out on that one, go watch some highlights because it was insane.
Yeah, and then we had Rory's reaction.
Yeah, did he really skirt off?
I doubt.
I saw a clip. It looked like somebody backed out and left. But
these
if y'all don't know, he
Valhalla police officers weren't there, so fans could have gotten back.
But if y'all don't know, Rory is he declined to make a media appearance after losing. Kind of went out. Pardon my French, like a bitch.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough because you mentioned Rory and his relationship with Liv and people who went to Liv. I for the longest time, I kind of felt bad for Rory after they announced the merger or that they were planning to merge because I kind of think that the PGA kind of held up Rory as their champion to come stay, and
Mm-hmm.
that villainized him among people who left. And then he had to kind of keep this strong pro PGA stance. Um, and then once they announced that merger, he was like, "Well, what the hell? Like, you
Yeah.
made me a villain to all these live players, and now they're just back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell?" So I definitely felt bad for him after that, kind of. Um, but there's no excuse for just like, I don't know. Everybody in the history of ever has congratulated the winner after they won.
Yeah.
Everybody in the history of ever has, the old take your hat off and shake when
Yeah.
you pull out. Like, it's just the way the game is played. Like, sorry, and yeah, it's soft. I understand being frustrated because you haven't won in 10 years, and this was the one you were you missed multiple putts inside 4 feet to that would have obviously won you the
One.
major. So
Yeah.
I get you're frustrated, but yeah, it's just not a good look at all. But
Yeah. Are you a Rory fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I did feel like I said, I felt a little bad for him. I didn't love this performance. He's very neutral. Like I don't dislike him.
Yeah.
Um, but I wasn't like a Rory fan.
Yeah. I think he's kind of a dick.
Yeah, I
Like
think he
honestly,
can be.
but like I think 99% of golfers are.
Yeah.
So but speaking of a guy who kind of started out that in that limelight, Bryson DeChambeau kind of flipped the script with that is now like a big presence
Like
on
he
TikTok.
is awesome. Like
He's awesome. I like him.
I didn't really follow golf when he was when he was a villain and when
Yeah.
the people didn't like him. I understand like he can be a bit cringy with some of the stuff, but yeah, like his presence online, like I think he makes fun videos and he's really freaking good at golf. And like watching a pro golfer play a hole with plastic clubs is fun. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
I like watching him do it. So yeah, I like Bryson, and maybe part of it is the fact that he's not on the PGA Tour, so we don't see him as much. So his
Yeah.
cringiness is better in
It's
small
better.
doses.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely I was definitely happy for Bryson, and I kind of like Bryson for
Yeah.
sure.
Not as much as Max Homa and
Mm-hmm.
Brooks Koepka. We gotta get that out. I know they played like ass this
Yeah,
past weekend,
neither of them made the cut.
but we ride with our guys for sure. But let's wrap up the episode here, Tanner.
Real quick before we move on, I do want to give a shout out. I'm trying to get his name, but the guy who made the eagle to make the
made
cut.
the eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hole in one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, technically that is an eagle. Good part three. Technically that is an eagle. But yeah, he hit the hole in one to make the cut. That's unbelievable. That rocks.
Electric. Absolutely electric. Who said that golf cannot be entertained? Because this weekend definitely had a huge argument against that.
So his name was Francesco Molinari.
What great name.
Molinari, U.S. Open earnings. I want to see how much that shot was worth.
Yeah.
Because
if you don't make the cut,
that was a $41,000 shot.
Nice.
That's not bad.
That ain't bad.
That's not bad.
That ain't bad way finish.
Tied for 64th.
Okay.
So,
but he hit a hole in one.
But he hit a hole in one
to get that paycheck.
And
so that's all that matters.
And he did it to make the cut.
There you go. That is awesome.
Rocks.
But to wrap up the episode, we do have a question. This comes from Carol Gotzi, my mom, with the Olympics coming up. Your favorite sporting event, Tanner. What are you most forward to watching? What are you most looking forward to watch?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know and haven't listened, one of my hotter takes, I guess, is that I personally don't get the Olympics. It's never been something I really enjoyed watching. They're just sports that I don't watch because they're boring, because I don't like to watch them. And even the ones that I do like to watch, like soccer, basketball, the soccer one is like U21 to begin with. So the players I don't know, and that kind of takes away. And then basketball, obviously the US is just so nasty.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, definitely not the biggest Olympics guy. Definitely don't get the hype about it. But I just mentioned how USA is so nasty. I obviously always love watching USA beat the crap out of the rest of the world in basketball. And then every once in a while, you get the matchup versus France, or back in the day, it was Argentina and
Yeah.
Spain, ones that would, all right, let's get up for this game because they'll give you a
Yeah.
run for your money. And so obviously basketball. One sport, though, I always didn't mind watching was handball.
Yeah.
You ever watch that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think that game was pretty fun. Maybe because like we'd always play like a version of it in gym.
Yeah.
You ever play that?
Yeah.
It was speedball. Did you
I
ever?
can't remember what we called it.
Ours called speedball, and it was literally a mix between soccer and like you can play it on the ground,
Okay.
or you can pop it up to yourself, and like handball, suddenly you can take like two steps and you
Yeah.
got to throw it. Which obviously it's much easier to throw it, so no one ever played it on the ground.
Yeah.
So the minute it touched the ground, someone just popped it up to themselves. So it was basically handball because no one ever played it on the ground. But it was fun. It was fun to play. So
Yeah. Handball's lit. I'm more of a fan of the Olympics. Definitely summer. If this was winter, we probably wouldn't be talking about it. But as a I mean, I always look forward to this. The weirdest event, the race walk.
of course,
They walk a marathon and you can only swing your hips and it's crazy. Make sure to tune in that. But I really like diving as well. Diving's pretty crazy what those guys and girls can do. And then recently, I've been getting more into track, so kind of looking forward to that because my cousins run track. Shout out Vivian and Abby. So those are kind of the three I'm looking at. But like you said, Tanner, it's very niche sports. Other than like basketball,
right? I mean,
really.
if it's your thing, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's just not mine.
Yeah. And
also, quick question: the speed walk.
speed
Was
walk.
there a guy who I seem to remember someone who uh, relieved himself in the middle of a speed walk?
It's definitely possible.
Okay.
It's multiple hours, so would not be surprised. I don't recall that, but
by the
it's
way,
definitely happened.
There are two options to. It's the worst one.
Oh,
Is the one I'm talking about.
Tough. Keegan's brother can relate.
Oh. Yes, in 2016.
There you go.
Johan Diniz of France.
Brutal. Those baguettes will get you.
Those baguettes will get you.
But any final thoughts on kind of as we wrap up the sports main seasons? Basketball's done. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I guess that we could mention would be the Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, yeah.
Just mention it quickly. It is a 3-1 lead currently for the Panthers. The Oilers, I mean, similar to the NBA playoffs, the Panthers went up 3-0 early. Oilers won game 4 in a blowout. It was 8-1.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
So now game 5 going back to Florida, up 3-1. It's currently 1-0 Oilers. The game is going on right now. But yeah, Florida still firmly in control of that series. But
yeah, other than that, not much. But the clock has run out on this episode. You can follow the pod at crunchtime_pod on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Our handles will be in this corner right there. So make sure to drop a follow on all those platforms. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe on YouTube, or even unsubscribe and subscribe again. We don't care as long as you get the content. We've been putting out a lot more clips of the pod. We got live clips last episode, so make sure to go check those out on TikTok. But the clock has run out on this episode, but we'll see you on the next one on Crunch Time.
I'll see you.